How much of a difference do you feel and who wins in District E? Now that we've got the core of City Council back, there will be there will be two new members.
Yep.
But how much of a difference do you think that will make, and what kind of impact you think that'll have on City Council between now and November 15th, just as the budget is heating up to be approved?
Yeah, I think that I can talk about District A specifically. I think that people had a hard time differentiating between the two people who are running. So Holly Friedman and Amy McCarron, who run on basically, I worked with Joe Geruso. I was the budget director, Amy McCarron. I was the constituent services director, Holly Friedman. So I think they're going to have a hard time really saying what their priorities are, because it sounds like really their priorities are the same. So they really are going to have to figure out how they're going to get those votes and differentiate themselves. I think that Cindy and Jason, Cindy's going to have to run on her previous record of what she did at City Council, and Jason's going to have to run on what he's doing now for the city of New Orleans. And so what that looks like, I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out.
All right. Well, people always like to hear that you care about the constituents. How can people best contact you and your office if they have a concern, or maybe they want to say thank you?
Oh, email is the best way.
Okay.
Again, I read every single email. You can email me directly at Leslie, Lesli, no E, .harris@nola.gov.
All right. Well, thank you very much, City Council Member Leslie Harris from District B.
The best.
She says for the best. Thank you for getting up so early and coming to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 12:30 a.m. We look forward to seeing what you and your colleagues will be doing with the budget and a number of other important issues. I'm really interested to see the Housing Trust Fund move forward, because the voters approved that.
Yeah.
And for those who are into the weeds, there are a lot of detail about how that must go, but there's still wiggle room for
How it will go. Yes. But $14 million dedicated funding.
But that is a lot of money dedicated for housing.
Yes.
And that is a big move in the city of New Orleans. So congratulations again on your history-making move, and continued success in District B and as a part of our New Orleans City Council. Up next, folks, we're going to hear from Frank Scorza, CEO of Avanza Capital Holdings. So big job with lots of money, but he's going to put that in context based on his own personal story with substance abuse. And don't forget, we'll hear from other city council members coming up during the show. Plus, we're going to get some political analysis from Gary Chambers, and we'll hear from Think 504's Jeff Thomas, who has been absent during the campaign on this front. So we'll see what he has to say during the show as well. This is WBOK 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. New York Knicks all-star forward Karl Anthony Towns is getting ready for another big season in the Big Apple. But off the court, Towns has his eyes on business and plans to invest in teams once his playing days are over. He stopped by Bloomberg World headquarters for the annual Power Players event and said that even though he's a basketball player, he's really interested in another sport's growth.
I know because I play basketball, we jump to the NBA franchises, but I think there's more opportunities out there in other sports as well, and I think one of the ones that I'm very intrigued in is MLS. I think MLS has a large growing factor, and with soccer already so big around the world and outside of America and only growing here now thanks to, Messi and some other big names coming over, I think that there's a chance to get in early right now into the MLS game.
It sounds like at least one prominent Knicks player will be ready for the FIFA World Cup when it comes to the U.S. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
You're invited to step back into New Orleans history for Community Day at the Dewdrop Inn with Tulane University's Special Collections, presented by the Primo Memorial Series. Saturday, October 18th from 12 to 2 p.m. Celebrate the Dewdrop Inn legacy with a live musical show. Enjoy a brunch buffet and explore archival materials. Free admission, but space is limited. For more information, visit library.tulane.edu/Dewdrop Community Day.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. And welcome for those of you who are just tuning in. It is 7:31 a.m. If you got somewhere to be at 7:45, you got a few minutes, depending on how far you got to go. And you're in much better shape if you got to be there at 8. Of course, if you're getting out there going to play some cards or to exercise or your medical appointment or on your way to work, watch out for the babies. And what do we want them to do out there on the streets?
Slow down.
Slow down, slow down. Watch for those school zones, folks. So we got quite the show coming up, so stay tuned. Whether you're listening on AM radio, the internet, or Facebook, and for our Facebook folks, we got that audio fixed, so everything's good to go. Hope you all are hearing us. Give us a little note on Facebook. Let us know that all is good. And, of course, engage with us and our guests there. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Right now, we're going to hear from Frank Scarso, CEO of Avanza Capital Holdings. Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. Thank you for having me.
I'm Will Sutton, and I'm here with Chief Eddie Campos.
How you doing there, Frank?
I'm doing well. Good morning.
Am I saying your last name right? Scorsa.
It's Scarso.
Scarso. All right. Got it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And for those listeners who don't know anything or much about you or Avanza Capital Holdings, give us a little background.
So I am a 30-plus year professional in the finance industry who has been sober now for about 8 years, struggled with addiction, alcohol.
Whoa. 8 years, that's a good job.
Thank you. So that, working in the financial sector of the markets and the high pressure, drugs and alcohol always seem to go side by side with those type of jobs. And unfortunately, I did get caught up in it. Took me some time to get sober, but I finally did get sober, thank God.
Okay. So what was it that gave you the strength, the motivation to snap that? And of course, this is October, National Substance Use Prevention Month. So why is it important to have a month to focus on these things? And what does it mean for those were similarly situated to be able to get to the place where you are?
Well, what did it for me was that I just really wanted my family back. I had really reached rock bottom. I hate to sound cliche-ish, but I really did lose everything. The most important thing that I lost was my family. I was separated from my wife and children for over 3 years. And that was my motivation. I just wanted to get back more than anything. And, you don't get back without fighting. You have to fight. Addiction is such a powerful disease that it has no discrimination and can take over your life in a flash. It seems like it happened really within just a few months, but it really took years. And the hurt and the pain that you cause those that love you the most, I still carry those regrets. And that's what really, you hurt people. And getting back is the most important thing, getting back to becoming a human being that is focused on life, not just, drowning yourself in drugs and alcohol to hide the pain. And I think having, a month like October where, we're acknowledging, recovery is important, especially in the financial jobs. And there are a lot of other sectors out there that have high stresses that, has a high rate of addiction and drugs. I can only speak for the industries that I've been in. It's important that, companies really acknowledge and try to help those that work for them that are struggling with addiction. Addiction has always had a stigma about it. It's been better over the last couple of years. It's got a lot more coverage and a lot more acknowledgement and acceptance into society that you're not just some druggie running around, that you are just a regular person that is struggling with a disease. And I think that if companies really go out there and they try to help those that work for them, whether it's through counseling or whether it's through setting them up through addiction and securing their jobs if they do leave for quite some time, I think that's all important. And these are things that I think that major corporations need to work on.
Well, you work in a finance business, so you're dealing with people's money all the time.
Correct.
Do they have any trepidation about giving their money to you when they find out that you've been addicted, or has that been an impediment on you expanding your business?
No, actually, it really hasn't impacted us from growing. Like I said, I think the stigma that was there years ago is no longer a true, setback. People like to hear that, I did overcome it, because they understand that it is a very powerful disease, and overcoming something like that, you really sort of have to be headstrong. You have to be focused. And, 28 days in a rehab is not going to cut it. You can't change a lifetime of abuse over a 28-day period. It's going to take time to get better. It's going to take multiple relapses to get better. It's going to take multiple stints in rehab and in counseling to get better. And I think that, dealing with people that know that you're a recovered alcoholic or drug addict, whatever it may be, I think they feel that you're a stronger person and a stronger leader, and they're more open to doing business with you.
In a business context, though, how can leaders encourage their teams to embrace vulnerability and honesty without fear of judgment? Because, when you come forward, a lot of times when you're in a business mode, it puts a light upon you that's in a negative aspect, and people may have, pause before they move you to a promotional position. Or so what do you tell people that have this problem about the fears of coming forward?
So I think the fears of coming forward is because, most people don't want to lose their job. I think that's one of the biggest fears. And I think if corporations can guarantee that they won't fire people if they come forward and get the help that they're seeking, I think that that's going to be one of the biggest motivators of getting, a lot more people sober in the working environment. Fear of losing your job that you've had for 10, 15, 20 years is very, true fear. That's what did it for me. I was, 21 years into a job that I was miserable at, but I had, nowhere to turn to. After you do something for so long, you're afraid of being able to support your family doing something else. So I think that that's a very important issue that can be worked on.
So you mentioned it taking time and having the relapses. What is that like to have continuous success and feeling like you're well on your way, and then to have a relapse? That's got to be disappointing, but how much can you look at the success of that journey versus the slip, so to speak?
Well, so good point. Realizing, let's just say you have 90 days in and then all of a sudden you slip. You have to realize that you did it for 90 days and you can do it for longer. One of the biggest things that you have to do is really you have to change your entire life. You have to change the people you hang out with, the places you go to, the things that you did for recreational all has to change. And realizing that if I did it once, I can do it again. It is a beatable disease, but it takes trying, and it takes hard work. You have to put the work in, and anybody can do it as long as they do put that work in. I'm sure of it. I've seen people that have struggled for decades that have gotten sober. Look at me. I'm a perfect example of it. I hid it from my wife and family for a long, long time. And then it really took a hold of me. I lived almost a double life. And then once it got out in the open, at first it got worse. And then it started to get better as, I wanted to get cleaned up and sober. So that's the issue, is you have to really acknowledge first that you do have a problem. Once you do acknowledge that you do have a problem, working on it is the next step.
All right, Frank, we got a call. We're going to hear from Papa Baptiste. Good morning, Papa Baptiste. You're on the line with Frank.
Good morning, Frank. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. As my father would say, comment ça va, messieurs? Bonjour. I have to give this young man the utmost props, because I know a lot of people are not going to call in about this. I have 34 years of being clean from drugs and alcohol. And in the music business, opposite of the business format community, they love to see you stoned. You get on the stage staggering and still can play or sing, the audience, they love it. So it's hard to get out of that. Some of those treatment centers cost $13,000 a month for rehab, some of them.
Wow.
Yes, I'm speaking from experience.
Yes, sir.
But I also know I had 14 children, 7 sons and 7 daughters, and I couldn't be found flat on my face at some party, like my friend David Ruffin, thrown out of some car and dropped off at a hospital, like a lot of these other entertainers that went out like that. So I fought for my life. I was an athlete, a four-star football star, everything. I love my family. I love my children. I love God and Christ more. So I was more fear of dying like that and letting God see me die like that in front of my children. So I begged God. I cried. I got on my knees. 34 years ago, the Lord purged that away from me. And so now I talk to people. It's an illness. It's a sickness. You shouldn't shun people, turn your nose up at people, none of those other things. After you get straight, feel that you're better than anybody else. You have to be thankful, try and help other people, and that's what I've done for the last 34 years, from my family to my friends to anybody that has been suffering through this drug, alcohol, this party, this endless party that goes in circles. And when people drop off and die, the party just keep going. Next. So you got to believe in yourself. For me, it was believing in God first, believing in myself that I am that man. David Russell Baptiste Sr., I am that man that could beat this. And thank God I have, and I'm not ashamed of it. So I'll tell anybody out there that have any friends, family members, help them. Don't shun them. Don't turn your nose up at them. We got more information about this illness now, how to correct it or how to get your life in a better position if you believe in yourself. And I had tremendous help around me. So that helps too when you got people that love you, that knows that's not you, that stayed with you by your side and help you. And he's right. You got to disperse all of your friends, everybody that's in that party. You got to let them go. So I lost a family like that too. I know about that. A couple of houses. I know about that. But now with the bank rolling with money and everything else, that's something you don't even. How could I ever did that? How could I ever done that? What did I do to myself? What made me go that route?
Right. Well, congratulations on your 3-decade plus
Thank you, son,
journey.
for bringing that up.
Really,
and I didn't even know this month was that month.
Right. Well, it is, and that's why we have Frank on. So thank you so much for calling in and adding to the conversation about National Substance Use Prevention Month. Quite a story, huh, Frank? Buttresses your key points.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the time sober, and keep up the good work.
Yeah. So Eddie touched base on this a bit about how you deal with this in the workplace. You mentioned that you hit this from your family for quite a while, to the point of kind of a double life. How do we deal with the stigma that is often attached to addiction?
I think that, getting it out there that it really is a sickness and a disease, is the most important aspect. People still, think of, an alcoholic or a drug addict as a bum. And there are a lot of good people that are not bums, that are addicts and alcoholics. And they just need some help. They've lost their way and they need to be found again. And they struggle with it. And I think that, releasing that old stigma and accepting it a little bit more than it's been accepted already, it'll help people come forward and giving them certain guarantees in the workspace that they're not going to lose their position in life, which is very scary, I think is going to be a big factor in that.
All right. Well, Frank, I know a lot of people will learn a lot in from your new book, The Hard Way Home, taking a look at the Wall Street excess and your personal recovery and the success that you've built moving beyond this serious addiction. So we thank you for joining us here on the Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 AM. We wish you well and for another 8 years of being sober and clean. And good luck with your book as well.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate
your
call.
Bye now.
All right. We're going to go right now to City Councilman Freddie King. City Councilman Freddie King, good morning. Good morning. This is Will Sutton. I'm with Chief Eddie Compass.
How you doing, sir?
Good morning, Mr. Sutton, Brother Compass. How are you all doing this morning?
Doing very well, sir.
Well, congratulations. You had a big win on Saturday night. You had several competitors, several challengers, but you came out with, I think it was 64% of the vote.
Yes, 64% of the vote. I'm proud of that. Always looking for room to improve, and me being me, the first thing I did was looked at where I didn't do as strong as I wanted to do, and going to figure out how we get to those neighborhoods and get those individuals confidence and get them on board, because I'm representing everybody, not just the people that supported me, but the ones who didn't. And I'm a council member for the district for 4 more years, and I want to see the district continue to move forward. This district is, I believe, and I may be a bit biased, is the most important in the city. We have the economic hub and the French Quarter, which we all know how important the quarter is to the state, so we need to protect that. But we also have neighborhoods like Algiers. That is a huge part of the city as far as the tax base and the population. We have an historic neighborhood like Treme, the oldest black neighborhood in the country, with some of the most historic people from the city, coming from Tremé. So Tremé is very important to the city. Marinate, Bywater, I can keep going on and on. So I have a great district, and I'm very, very proud to be reelected with 64%.
Well, you did improve your percentage of voter support, because I think the last time you were at 62% in the first election.
Yeah, it was from the low 60s to the, I would say, mid 60s. So that showed that there were some people who didn't support me the first time, who did the second time, and I even met some of those people.
Right.
And look, I'm sure there was some who voted for me the first time who didn't. So I'm going to continue just to do what I've been doing, and that's represent the city to the best of my ability every day. And like I said before, I'm going to go to those neighborhoods that I didn't do so well and figure out what I can improve on. Like that coach said, we're going to enjoy this victory for the weekend, but come Monday, we're going to look at the film for the next team. And this morning I just left waving signs on DeGaulle and Shirley. My team, yeah, man, we were saying thank you. We had big thank you stickers. This is not just a job to me. I really, really love this city. I love this job, everything about it. So I don't take it lightly. And we was out waving signs 7:00 in the morning saying thank you. You got to be willing to do what other people aren't willing to do. And if it means getting up 7:00 or 6:30, 6:00 to say thank you on a Monday that you won, a holiday at that, that's what I'm going to do.
How you doing, Councilman? This is Chief Compass. During the next
Good.
4 years, what is going to be your top priority for the district? Because I know it's very diversified. I was the commander of the first district when I was on the police department, so I know you are not fabricating when you say the diversity of that district as it relates to you cover all socioeconomics, you cover all different races, genders. I mean, that to me is the most difficult district to police.
It is.
So I know what you're talking about.
What I tell people, and I'll get to your priority question about diversity, you have parts of the city, parts of District C, that you can run across a wild feral hog in Lower Coast Algiers. You can run across a deer. There are bison farms in Lower Coast Algiers. Then you have, on the East Bank, you can have a second line the same day. So it's a very diverse district. I don't think people realize that. And I treat it, like I tell people, like my children. I have 5 children, and I don't treat them all the same because they all have their different personalities, but I treat them all equally, and I treat them all with love. And that's kind of approach I take with the district. You have a very diverse district. You cannot treat Tall Timbers the way you would treat St. Roch, because there are different needs, different wants, and different lifestyles. But you listen to each neighborhood, and you try your best to represent each district or each part of the district to the best of your ability, and you do that by listening to the residents. That makes your job easier when you can keep the residents in the front of the decision making. But as far as the priorities, my top, not in no particular order, make sure we get that naval station on Poland across the finish line. That is a 1 million square foot piece of property. That is going to be huge for the entire city, whether you live in the Lower 9, Upper 9, East Bank, West Bank. That's going to be a huge economic win for the city. We already have a tech company coming in that is going to really change the makeup of that city. There's talk about different other developments coming in, talk about hundreds of workforce housing, market rate housing. So that area is going to be basically a small city within itself. That's going to help the entire city. You come on to the West Bank, we have Brechtel Golf Course that has been sitting vacant since Katrina. Now, we've done a good job of keeping the grass cut and making it look like something, but it's time for some actual development to happen there. That's a big tricky because you have deeds and restrictions as to what you can and cannot do on that property. So trying to navigate through that, but I'm committed to making that something that the entire city could be proud of. Also, you have the lack of or the need for economic development along the General de Gaulle corridor. Now, we've made small strides in the past couple of years. There's a new restaurant, a new dining experience coming up on de Gaulle. That's going to be like a mini food court. I think with the continuing demolition and hopefully sale of the Gall Manor property, that's going to be huge for that area. That's I think a 25-acre piece of land that has been sitting vacant for a long time. So on the West Bank, you have about 130 acres of undeveloped land that's been sitting there. You can't find that in any other major city in the country. So just continue the economic development on the East Bank, on the West Bank, and I'm going to do my best to be more visible. One thing I realized, you can do something in the world we live in 2025. If people don't see you doing it, it's not done. So people say, we don't see you in our neighborhood, but I was just there last week, or just there last night, but I'm going to do a better job of it's difficult for me. I don't like to really toot my own horn, but really showcase what I've been doing.
Thank you with that. Thank you very much, Councilman.
All right. Thanks. We know you got to get on to some other things. We appreciate your calling in. Once again, congratulations. We look forward to your transition with the mayor-elect, and we know we've got big budget issues and other things going on. Thanks again. I know you got to get some rest today, and we'll be in touch.
All right. I appreciate the call. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. We've got another council member. We've got City Council Member Eugene Green from District D. Congratulations on your big win.
Purple Night. That's why you got a little
Purple Night.
That's a Purple Night.
We got 3 Purple Knights on the line right now. How about that?
How about, and another one behind the glass.
That's right.
How about that? And I represent a district that includes,
Absolutely.
I represent a district that includes St. Augustine High School. So how about that, huh?
So, Councilman, congratulations on your big win on Saturday. Just a few years ago, you won election. It was a bit of a squeaker because you came in with just above 50%. But you got in there and you've been doing the work. And I guess the people like what they see because you got about, 67%?
67% of the vote, and I won every precinct in a very, very diverse district. I'm so proud. My district includes New Orleans East, Gentilly, the Ninth Ward, the Fairgrounds community. It includes all of the lakefront communities. And it includes very specific communities that, in the past maybe haven't had some of the participation that we want to see, and some of that's understandable. The Desire, Florida, Bunny Friend community, for example, parts of the 8th Ward, the 7th Ward, some parts of the 7th Ward felt ignored. I think that that vote represents the fact that people see progress happening, and I'm just pleased that I had an opportunity to secure that type of mandate, because that's a mandate. When I've won every precinct I had the majority of the votes in, and I had 2 competitors in my race who had run for mayor before, and they had name recognition, had received some previous votes. The voters made a strong statement, and I appreciate it very much.
Well, Councilman, I don't think they just see progress. I think they see you. I tell you, you are the most visible, not just councilman, politician I've ever been around my entire life. I mean, you working from sun up to sundown. I see you at things in the morning, our prayer breakfast, and then I'll see you at a meeting at night. I remember when they had Irvin Mayfield had a function at Melanie's Boys' Home, and I just saw you at another function. I said, how did you get it so fast? So you definitely putting the work in. You're definitely putting the work in, man. I'm just very proud that that we're associated. And we graduated together, and I think I handled your first campaign when you ran for student body president. I was his campaign manager. So I take credit for that, getting him started.
Yes,
I'm going to give myself a ding on that one.
Then and your support now. I do want to say, I want to reference one thing that you said. I attend all of those events because I really do enjoy our city, and I don't really hold back telling anybody how much I enjoy our city. Just yesterday, for example, I had an opportunity to, after my election, visit 2 churches, one of which was St. Paul Lutheran Church. Not too many people know about it. It's off Claiborne Avenue in the 7th Ward. I was so pleased to be able to go there and present recognition to some members of that congregation who were over the age of 80, who had been with that 150-year-old church for so many years, for decades. But it was really symbolic of, very honestly, what goes on in our city that a lot of people don't see. A lot of people enjoy their institutions, their religious institutions. They are proud of their schools that they finished from, and they are really, really pleased with the opportunity to get together with each other. There was a reception afterwards. They watched the Saints game. I watched the game with them. What an afternoon it was for me after celebrating a victory that day. And, of course, I attended my own church, which is Bethany Methodist Church in the Pontchartrain Park, the historic Pontchartrain Park community, which is also in District D. I represent a great district. As I mentioned, some of those communities, a very diverse district. It includes 6 schools of higher education. A lot of people don't know that. UNO, SUNO, Dillard, Delgado, the Baptist Theological, Seminary has its own 4-year program, and I'm forgetting. Oh, and the LSU School of Medicine. School of Dentistry. How about that? In one district. It also includes 9 high schools. Our high school, Brother Martin, Holy Cross, Carver. It includes Clark. It includes so many. Kennedy. I don't want to leave anybody out. McDonald 35. Hope I didn't leave somebody out because I'm talking so fast. But the bottom line is, think about that diversity. And also think about this, men. When I talk about my district and people are negative about what they see going on in the city, I attend graduations every year representing 6 schools of higher education and 9 high schools. I see so many smiles, so many students doing favorable work. I can't help but talk about some of the positives that are going on in the district because I see young people, many of whom choose to stay here in the city of New Orleans, doing well. I'm pleased with that.
Well, wonderful. Well, one of the storylines I think that's important with what happened on Saturday is the city decided that the core of the council should return, and they as a group, they like what they see. They see some progress. They like the success with full votes of 7-0 and sometimes 5 or 6, and they like the fight for the citizens. Otherwise, I think there would have been some different results, but that's not what happened. And so 2 more council representatives to go with the runoffs. How much of a difference do you think it'll make if who wins in A or who wins in E?
Well, I'll tell you very honestly, it'll certainly have an impact on the council. But let me go back to what you said. 1 council member was elected without opposition. 4 were elected on Saturday by landslides. I think that at the end of the day, that makes a statement that maybe people are seeing some of the progress. In my district, it's the Gentilly Resilience District. Of course, the biggest issue is, of course, that crime is down so significantly. You have a 3rd district of the New Orleans Police Department, which has no violent crime or very, very little violent crime. And I say that 1 crime is too many, and I really express my support for and sympathy with victims of crime. But I just want to make it clear that there is progress being made. You can see all of the construction going on of streets. In my district, Dillard has a new dormitory that they're dedicating at the end of this month. Hines built a new school entirely. The National Finance Center decided that they were going to relocate to Gentilly. We can't ignore all the lakefront community. There's a housing construction boom going on in District D. You can drive through District D, all of our areas, including the long, underserved Desire, Florida community, and you see new construction. You see wood frames going up in the St. Roch Bend area. And yes, thank you, Chief Compass. Yes, I think that people say, I've seen Councilman Green out there. There are 20 neighborhood associations in our district in various places. I attend as many meetings as possible, but I also have district liaisons that attend those meetings if I can't. So we're present at the meetings to answer the questions. And many of the choices that the administration has made relative to special events, such as the specials kickoffs for Night Against Crime, the first budget committee meetings, the meetings of the neighborhood engagement committee. We have a representative of the district who is present at 2 libraries and at the Pontilli Coffee Shop each week where people can go in and talk to them. I think that more people are seeing that the glass is more than half full and that we're moving in the right direction, but nothing speaks to that, such like the elections that took place on this weekend where 4 incumbent council members were reelected with over 60% of the vote. I think that says something there.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy post-election day to join us here on WBOK's Good Morning Show. Again, congratulations to you and your colleagues for re-election. And we'll see what happens in A&E, who will be joining you. We'll have that figured out on November 15th. Meanwhile, this is the second part of the campaign. So get some rest out there.
He don't rest.
Seen you.
He don't rest.
I've seen you at a lot of places as well. More recently, I saw you at the Lake Oaks steak night, I think it was. And I know you're out and about, but I also know that you're in the office, at home, and in businesses, taking care of business as well. We got to go to break. So thank you very much, Councilman. And
I do want to thank WBOK for the outreach that you do to our citizens, providing them with an opportunity to speak and express their opinions and to hear from others. And this morning, you're coming right on the radio, inviting elected officials to speak as an example of what you do that helps to share information. And I really appreciate it. Call me at any time for the sharing of information. I appreciate talking to you all.
All right.
Thank you, Councilman.
Have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day.
All right, folks, we got to go to break. And when we come back, we're going to hear from Gary Chambers. He's going to give us some insights. We heard from him on Friday going into Election Day. Well, now he's had a chance to see what actually happened, and we'll get his political insights and observations right after the break. I'm Will Sutton. I'm with Chief Eddie Compass. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
At New Orleans East Hospital, we believe healthcare should come with heart. Located at 5620 Reed Boulevard, we proudly serve the New Orleans community with compassion, courtesy, and a commitment to excellence. From healing to education, we want to be your trusted healthcare partner that's close to home. New Orleans East Hospital, delivering a culture of healthy care. The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Healthcare is a key issue as the government shutdown stretches on. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, appearing on Fox News, says millions are affected.
The states that are most affected are all states that Donald Trump has won. In fact, I think it's the top 5 states. So this is not a partisan fight for us. We're fighting for everyday Americans.
Thousands of federal workers are being laid off, mostly from health and Treasury. Shutdown fallout hits D.C. tourism. The Smithsonian closed all museums and the National Zoo Sunday, sparking disappointment and hurting nearby businesses. Crowds rushed in Saturday for one last look before the gates shut. And some Lakers fans are suing LeBron James over his second decision teaser. They thought it was a retirement announcement, but it turned out to be a Hennessy ad. One fan paid $865 for tickets to what he thought would be James's last game and claims false advertising. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
welcome back to the Good Morning Show. It is 8:08 a.m. If you need to be there at 8, you late. You are late. Get there ASAP, but please do it safely.
Right. Okay. Don't speed, because Chief loved the kids. We don't hit the kids.
Yep. Remember, we got kids going to school, getting off buses, out of cars, crossing streets.
Oh, yeah.
Let's make sure we keep our eyes open and alert. No being on the phone when we're driving at all, but particularly when you're around the babies. It's 8:09 now, and we're going to be jumping into conversation with Gary Chambers. Good morning, Mr. Chambers.
Good morning, brothers. How are you?
I'm great, my brother. How you doing, man?
Fabulous. Well, we had you on Friday talking about what we saw from the early voting period and going into Election Day and the possibility of a higher turnout. We got a higher turnout. We got more than 40%, but there seem to be a lot of storylines and trends that will continue to develop today and this week. What did you see that happened in the New Orleans election on Saturday?
So, number one, I want to say congratulations to Mayor-elect Helena Moreno. She has a big task before her. A lot of people with a lot of expectations for her, and I already saw what's JMC? John Cuvier. I saw him the other day attempting to, along with Newell Norman, manage expectations for now Mayor-elect Moreno. But what the data told me was 105,000 people went to vote. There are 265,000 registered voters in Orleans Parish. So that means 100,000+, over 150,000 people in Orleans did not vote. 40% of voters turned out overall. From John Cuvier, 80% of New Orleans' white voters supported Helena Moreno from Uptown to Lakeview, and the black vote was split up, and 70% of black voters chose candidates other than Helena Moreno. Now, that is not a narrative that 30% of black voters who supported Helena Moreno likes to hear, but over 70% of black voters in New Orleans did not believe that she was the direction to go in, and I believe the data shows that 70% of black New Orleans still wanted a black leader. The question for the leadership of New Orleans and for all of us today who care about black leadership is, what are the things that got us here? I would say a very divisive mayoral campaign from the Moreno camp. Most folks have attempted to land that on the black candidates in the race, but if you look at the influencers and the people who worked with the Moreno camp, anytime a black person was in support of Councilman Thomas or Senator Duplessis, they sent out their henchmen and they went to the comment section. They made videos about those people. They created a lot of tension within the community. And I also think that there was a lot of scrutiny on black leadership and very little scrutiny on the white leadership of the city. And what happens in a divide and conquer situation is black people get confused. We pick different sides, and as a result, we don't win. This is now taking place in Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Alexandria, Monroe, and now New Orleans, the only large city in the state of Louisiana that still has a black mayor, and he is in his first year of his first term, is Lake Charles, Louisiana. So black voters have questions to ask of their black leadership, whether that is former Congressman Cedric Richmond endorsing Helena Moreno, current Congressman Troy Carter endorsing Helena Moreno, overqualified black candidates. You have to ask yourselves, how do you feel as black voters that the black congressmen who have asked you to support black leadership over and over again would compromise in supporting black leadership in this election for a mayor in a majority black city? I think that the number that the media has done on attacking black leadership and not holding anybody else accountable is disappointing today, to say the least.
All right, Chief?
When I always, Gary, try to espouse the philosophy that I want to be a student of history. And history has told us that when an individual was elected in this city recently for the mayoral position, they're automatically almost elected again for the next term. So what do you think the next 8 years look like as opposed to the 4 years that we're elected Mayor-elect Helena Moreno for? What do you think the next 8 years looks like for the African-American community from a socioeconomic standpoint?
Well, I can't tell you the specifics of how things will be for black people in New Orleans because I don't think anybody demanded that Helena Moreno be very specific about what she was going to do for the black community. I do think she talked a lot about potholes and hiring more people for infrastructure projects and things of that nature, but I can't tell you the specifics of what she's going to do to advance black and minority contractors or businesses. I can tell you from the track record of what I've seen or her resume that she will be adversarial with some black business owners and specifically black business owners with large-scale contracts. Even in her campaign, she made disparaging remarks about those people. I've never heard her disparage a large-scale white-owned company in the manner that she has with some of the black-owned businesses in New Orleans. And so those are things that are concerning for me. There's also concern for me, what will the demographics of some of these conversations with Jeff Landry look like? Will there be any black people at the table or in the room when they have conversations with the Landry administration, with the Trump administration? What does that room look like? The Moreno administration got a black chief of staff in the last year, right, when they were running for mayor. They had not had a black chief of staff for a large portion of their time. So I cannot speak to what she will deliver in those aspects, and I don't think that mainstream media or a lot of the people asking questions demanded that she answer those questions at the same ferociousness that they did of the black candidates. The other thing I would say is we have to look at a person's track record. Over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of contention and fighting between the council and the mayor. I suspect that all of that tension will go away because Council President J.P. Morrell and Council and now Mayor-elect Helena Moreno have a great relationship. She should have a positive relationship with the majority of the council. I also suspect that all of these attempts to limit the powers of the mayor will go away. I think that these conversations over the last 4 years where the council has been very adversarial and working to strip power away from the black mayor, I think that we'll find out power will be extended to this mayor. I don't believe that people will go in the same way to restrict the power of the mayor now that the mayor is no longer black. And I think those are things that black people should examine every single day of this administration. I think black people should recognize that even at the watch party and the victory party for now Mayor-elect Moreno, that the stage was very diverse because there were props on the stage, but the audience was very white. It did not look like New Orleans, and I would challenge people that though these things that I'm saying may be uncomfortable to hear if you are a part of the 30% of black people who voted for her, you have an obligation that if you are someone who is in those spaces, places, and rooms, to hear these concerns, to hear the things that people say, and then do something to ensure that the leadership of this administration is different from the resume that they have presented to black people who chose not to support her in this quest.
You are correct about the more than 70% of black folks who did not vote for Moreno, but in quite a number of heavily black districts, precincts across the city, she came in first, second, or shared the black vote. What's your take on that?
Well, when your congressman is endorsing her in a commercial, when your former congressman is endorsing her in a commercial, when your district attorney is endorsing her, all black men, all elected by black people who have said that she should be the leader, I think there's a segment of people who went with Cedric, Troy, and Jason. I think that there's also a segment of people who trusted the black women in leadership that supported Helena Moreno. But I also think that there's a very legitimate criticism of black leadership not delivering on some of the things that they have committed to. I do not think that criticism has been fairly appropriated. That is where my issue comes in. Helena Moreno was the chair of economic development for the city council for the last 8 years. No one ever blamed her for the lack of economic development in New Orleans East. No one ever blamed her for the lack of economic development in the Ninth Ward. No one ever mentioned her name about the lack of economic development in Algiers. But Oliver Thomas, Royce Duplessis were put on a stake for whether or not they did or did not do something for black people. And I think that black folks have got to hold all of our officials accountable. How does a person sit in a position for 8 years as the president of the city council or the vice president, as also sit in a position over as the chair of economic development, and you cannot speak to the economic development projects that you spearheaded in New Orleans East? You cannot speak to the economic development projects that you speared in the Lower Ninth Ward, and you cannot speak to the economic development projects that you speared in Algiers. And so if you did not do those things as council president and council vice president, I don't know why people anticipate that those things will happen from this mayor, because as 8 years on the council, she did not do those things as council vice president or president. But Oliver Thomas, Royce Duplessis have been held to a level of accountability that Helena Moreno is not. But that is also, again, I lean back to mainstream media in these forums did not lean on her in the same regard that they did in other people.
All right. Thank you. We've got a caller. Ms. Matthews, you're on the line with Gary Chambers.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Chambers and Mr. Sutton and Mr. Campos.
Good
Mr.
morning.
Chambers, I just want to tell you that I agree with you 100%. And some of the citizens noticed what happened, and I know I'm one who won't forget, because to me, you know, just like you're saying, they didn't even support, you know, the leaders, or they didn't support people who they call themselves friends with. Then the other thing, what I can't understand, why we always have to go against each other. One or the other person could have vowed out the election, and I feel like whoever got in last should have been the one to wait till another time, because just like what you're saying, Mr. Chambers, if you look at those percentages, when you look at the percentages with Oliver Thomas and Royce Duplessis, if it had only been one instead of two, then she wouldn't have won outright. It probably would have been a runoff. So I just wanted to say that some of the citizens notice what's going on, and I do wonder, why are we electing the same council, basically? Because just like the mayor, they sit up there, and a lot of things didn't get done. It was more bickering than actually making progress in this city for the average citizens. So I just want to tell you, some of the citizens, we do notice what's going on. You know, I say that, to me, in this state, they just depend on people being uneducated so they can keep on doing the same old, same old. So that's all I want to say.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Matthews. You have a blessed day. Gary Chambers, we've got another caller, and we're going to pick up the line. We're going to pick up the line with Frank Galloway. Good morning, Frank. You're on the line with Gary Chambers.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, except you've got background noise. So if you could turn down your radio.
That's not me. I'm not by radio. My phone is not on speaker or anything like that.
Okay. All right. We got you now. All right. Good morning, Frank.
Hey, first of all, good morning, Gary Chambers, and thank you, brother. Me and you, a couple of years back, we had an online dispute about Juneteenth, and I was willing to put my opinion about the way you felt about Juneteenth at the time. I put my opinion aside and I listened to you. Ever since then, I've been listening to you, and you've been laying out the stuff that a lot of black men have been saying about how we hold black leadership accountable and how we don't hold white leadership accountable. I want to thank you for coming on this radio station and calling out Cedric, Troy, Jason, and other black people who sat there and stood behind a woman who for 8 years have not did a daggone thing to black leadership, to black economic development. Folks, you better understand this. What's about to happen to New Orleans, y'all can call it fear-mongering or what you want to call it. Come the first Monday in the first Monday in January, you have a white mayor and you have a white police chief, and she has enough white votes on city council to do whatever she wants to do to you. I've seen this play out in Houston. I've seen this play out in Baton Rouge. And now I've seen it playing out in New Orleans. I actually vote in Orleans Parish. My home in East Austin, we went from 8 miles. From 8 miles of residence to 8 blocks. They coming to take everything you got, and they doing it by using black people. Y'all better get ready.
All right.
That's all I have to say. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you, Frank. We're going to have to go to break in a couple of minutes. Gary, how about some closing thoughts about looking ahead to the November 15th runoff with we've got a runoff in Council District A, a runoff in Council District E, and we've got a clerk runoff as well. Any thoughts about one or more of those?
I'm going to stay with Duncan for clerk. I'm going to reserve my thoughts on the council races until I have an opportunity to talk to the council candidates. But I think that when you look at the campaign that was run, there's a grassroots movement behind Brother Calvin, and I hope that he's able to sustain that momentum and win. And the reason, not just because I think that he's going to increase efficiency, I believe that Troy Carter needs to pay at every turn for being willing to stand and take the positions that he's taken. And so if you were a beneficiary or support by Troy Carter, I think the voters need to let Troy Carter know how they feel about him deciding that in this situation that the qualified, competent black leaders that were there were not good enough, in his opinion, to be the mayor of New Orleans. And I think that if those people aren't good enough, then the people that he's putting up, that black voters ought to send them home and pick somebody who's grassroots and focused on the people of New Orleans. I also want to say to the comments that the sister and the brother made, I hope that people are not discouraged by the loudness of the 30% of voters who supported Helena Moreno. The biggest question that we have to ask ourselves as black people is, how do we get more of that 60% of voters who did not participate to show up? What are we not doing in these off cycles to knock on doors, have conversations, engage with our people? I'm going to be doing the civics for the people in New Orleans in the next few months, because I believe that one of the reasons that people are not participating is we are asking people to participate in a process that they do not fully understand. And the more we inform our people, I trust the brilliance of black people. When you give black people the information, they will make an informed decision. Over 70% of black voters chose black leadership. And no matter who the mayor is, I want you to remember that statistic, because there's going to be a lot of folks who try to show you black people in images as a reflection of the majority of black voters of Orleans. 70% of black voters in Orleans believe that black leadership is still good enough for the people of a majority black city in New Orleans. Thank you, brothers, for having me again.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and have a blessed day. We'll be looking for more of what you have to say on social media, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, brother. Y'all be well.
All right, Gary.
All right. Well, folks, good conversation with Gary Chambers. We're going to be going to our break, and after that, we'll be hearing from Jeff Thomas from Think 504. He's got some thoughts and then insights. He's been following the campaign very closely. He's going to weigh in on the mayor's race, and he's also going to take a look at sheriff and city council at large races as well. It's 8:27 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8:30. Better be on the other side of the bed. You are listening to WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Fresh produce, local flavor, and a healthy you. New Orleans East Hospital is hosting a farmers market the last Wednesday of every month from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Join us in the parking lot across from the main entrance. Support local farmers and your wellness. We'll see you there.
Transform your bathroom with the beautiful quality of Bath Planet.
As a trusted leader in bathroom renovation, Bath Planet has earned the Good Housekeeping seal, a symbol of quality and consumer confidence for over 100 years. Get half off installation or 18 months with no interest and no payments. Whether it's tub replacement, a shower replacement, or a tub-to-shower conversion, Bath Planet makes your custom bath fast, easy, and affordable. Here's how it works. 1. Call to schedule your free, no-obligation consultation. 2. Our design experts come to you with real samples to customize your dream bath. 3. Our certified installers complete the transformation in as little as 1 day. And right now, for a limited time, you can upgrade your bathroom for 50% off installation or choose 18 months with no interest and no payments. But you need to call now. This special offer is only available by calling 800-981-8177. That's 800-981-8177. Call 800-981-8177 right now before the offer ends.
Good Monday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. A new week and new leadership on the horizon. Helena Moreno is entering her first work week as mayor-elect. She secured enough votes to avoid a runoff, beating out major contenders like Oliver Thomas and Royce Duplessis. Former NOPD Interim Superintendent Michelle Woodfork also defeated all her challengers to win the race for sheriff outright. There's also several races heading to a runoff. Council District A has narrowed to 2 candidates, Holly Friedman and Amy McCarron. That district covers Lakeview and parts of Uptown. Cindy Wynn and Jason Hughes will go head-to-head in a runoff for District E to represent New Orleans East and the lower 9th Ward. Plus, Calvin Duncan and incumbent Darren Lombard will face each other in a runoff for Orleans Parish Clerk of Criminal Court, after neither was able to secure more than 50% of the vote. Today, some community members will call for the NOPD's consent decree to remain in place. They'll also renew calls to reject federal law enforcement coming to New Orleans. 2 activist groups will hold the news conference at 3 p.m. outside the Hellbox Federal Building on Poydras. And after a disappointing loss to the Patriots, the Saints are now 1-5 overall. It's their worst start to a season since 1999. The black and gold fought hard but struggled to score in the red zone, while Patriots QB Drake May passed for 3 touchdowns of 25 or more yards, including 2 to former LSU star Kayshon Boutte. The Saints will now go on the road to take on the Chicago Bears and former head coach Dennis Allen, who's the Bears' defensive coordinator. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. I'm Will Sutton, and I am here with Chief Eddie Compass, and we are happy to have you returning or staying with us on the Good Morning Show, and happy to have those of you who are just joining us. It's 8:31 a.m. You got somewhere to be for 8:45 or 9. You might be in decent shape, depending on how long it's going to take you to get there. If it's just a matter of moving to another room and firing up your laptop, or making sure you go on your phone.
Like my wife Regina,
yeah,
she has to go right to the other room on that laptop. Good job, baby. Make that money.
All right. So it's 8:32 a.m. now, and we're going to jump into conversation with Jeff Thomas. Jeff Thomas, one of the owners of Equity Media, which owns WBOK, and Think 504, where Think 504 is doing what the name implies, making New Orleans think. You're not going to get a whole lot of breaking news. You're going to get thoughtful commentary from Think 504. Happy to have you on, Mr. Thomas. Good morning.
Hey, Will. Hey, Chief, how y'all doing this morning? I'm so happy to be on with you guys. I'm sorry I couldn't be in studio with you this morning, but I got sidetracked at home. I looked up. I said, oh, my goodness, I'm not going to make it. But thank you for having me on this morning, and we don't have a lot of time, so if you guys don't mind, I'm going to jump right into it.
We're ready for you. Yeah. Come on, man. Come on with it.
So listen, I heard Gary Chambers, and he did a very good job laying out
the black issues and the racial component. But I think that there are other components. Now, let me act with full disclosure. I 100% supported Oliver Thomas. In fact, ran a PAC that tried to help Oliver win. But unfortunately, we came up a little short. But one thing I do want to say before I get into it is I want to thank every candidate who ran, who offered him or herself up for public office. It is an incredible thing for people. It takes fear. It takes courage. You got to be fearless. You really have to be committed to our city to offer yourself up for public service. It is, God's work. And so to all of the candidates, I want to thank you, win, lose, or draw. But there are some factors I think that really impacted this election. One is I think that there is a shift in the dynamics of what we're seeing for the last mayor's races since Mitch Landrieu. It used to be a time, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when Dutch Morial got elected, it was keep the drive alive. It was about black politics. It was Sidney Bartholomew ran a black-centric race. And mayors could win with the black vote. Unfortunately, guys, that has shifted, that has changed. That's no longer the case in New Orleans politics. Even though, New Orleans is still 57% black registered voters, what we actually have to look at is turnout. When you measure turnout, especially since Mitch Landrieu and LaToya Cantrell and now this campaign, what you see is white turnout surpasses black turnout. And so therefore, it's about a 50-50 split in terms of people voting. And so because of that, you can't just be a black candidate. And I think that's what you saw in this mayor's race. So Helena Moreno, as Gary and you, Will, have said, got 80% of the white vote. But also, she built a coalition amongst black voters. I mean, you saw her commercials where she talked about New Orleans East. She had a commercial talking about, we're going to put another city hall in New Orleans East. That probably won't happen. We don't know. Maybe it will. But the fact is she was reaching out to those voters. Why? Because you have to build a coalition to get elected mayor in the city of New Orleans. You have to have black and white voters supporting you. That's just the case with Ms. Landrieu. That's the case with LaToya Cantrell both times with Ms. Landrieu, and now we see it with Helena Moreno. But more importantly, I think in this election also was who was on the ballot that nobody's talking about? LaToya Cantrell. This was a vote for the black people who voted for. I think the black people who voted for Helena Moreno actually voted against LaToya Cantrell. I think that there was a bunch of anger and pragmatism in that voting. And to be upset with people who voted that way, I think is unfair to those people. Now, I didn't vote that way. I'm a Oliver, I voted for Oliver. But right. I understand how people were concerned about, we now have, for the first time in history, a city mayor indicted. Now, that indictment timing is curious because it didn't have to happen. But, that's for another segment. But another thing that you saw, the biggest issue that you saw in this election was money and name recognition. Money and name recognition. Money and name recognition. I said it 3 times because it is the most important thing. If you look at all of the candidates who won, they all had the most money and had the most name recognition. Start with Helena Moreno. She had $3.4 million. She, of course, had the name recognition because she's been running for mayor for the last 8 years. She is the current city council at large. Her name recognition is there. Combine that with $3.4 million, it was able to trump her opponents. If you look at other races, let's look at J.P. Morrell. Money and name recognition. He outspent his opponents 3-1. Same with Helena Moreno, 3-1. If you can go down the ballot, Woodfork, money and name recognition. Over Shorty and in Susan Hudson's case, she didn't have any money. Woodfork outspent her opponents 3-1. Money and name recognition is a big part of what you saw in this campaign. Now, also, I want to talk a little bit about the rise of professional campaigns. campaigning has changed now. It used to be, you knock on doors. I remember I was a little boy when Don Hubbard, my Uncle Don, had me working out there for Soul. And literally, he had me walking in neighborhoods. I'd never been in these neighborhoods before, but what you have to do, Jeff, is you have to knock on the door and put this in the people's mailbox and let them know. And I had a whole spiel about what I was doing. There was a time when, the community groups, Soul, Bowl, Coup, made a big difference. I think that their impact is significantly less now. And what's replaced that is social media. And we know Helena Moreno, for example, and all of the winning candidates spent a ton of money on social media. Helena Moreno, like Gary Chambers said earlier, had her people in the comments, had her people, Reggie Ard and JD and those guys. I mean, they were out there ferociously attacking their opponents. So I think what you're seeing is a shift in the way campaigns are happening. And so that talks about now the racial dynamics that you don't expect are that, again, I want to talk a little bit, go back to the turnout factor. That is the thing that has changed dramatically. If you run a campaign saying, well, look, I'm looking at the dynamics of the race and I can see 57% of the electorate is African-American, I'm going to run an old school 1990s Black is Right campaign. And unfortunately, you're going to lose if you do that because, again, turnout is the key. And for the last 4 mayoral elections, this is what the people who have been winning have figured out, that it's about turnout and it's about that you need a coalition to win in the city of New Orleans. You can't just be all Black people come. You're not going to turn out Black people. Black people only turn out in the 100,000 that Gary talked about when it's a unique, historic kind of event. Barack Obama, if maybe in the future, if there's some new candidate for governor who can build a coalition and get a whole bunch of people more, something like that is going to get Black people turned out to vote. Unfortunately, you're talking about chronics and semi-chronics. Those are the people who are going to vote. And when those people are pragmatic in their approach. And so, the other thing is this, you've talked about this too, Will, which is precincts. There are key precincts that I look at, precinct 740, 942, 49, 944, 113. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to think504.com. There's some great articles up there, which Kenneth Cooper wrote an incredible article about what he called an ass whipping, frankly. And, again, I worked hard, invested a lot of time, effort, energy, and money in trying to get Oliver Thomas into the runoff. But Helena Moreno ran a fantastic campaign. Hats off to her and her campaign team. They were effective across the board. And when you look at these key precincts, what you see is that Helena Moreno dominated in the white precincts. She won 80% of the vote. And in the Black precincts, where the big Black precincts, she was getting 30% of the vote. And so let's talk about what is a big Black precinct. You got 800 to 1,200 voters in the precinct. Helena Moreno was getting 30% of that vote. And now in the smaller precincts where Oliver and Royce won, there are only 500 votes, and they're getting 60%, 50% of those votes. But Helena Moreno is still getting 20%, maybe even 15%, but it's just not enough votes. She was effective in the key precincts. She turned out her vote across town. And so that is, for me, that is my analysis of what you saw on Saturday. You saw name recognition and money turn out the vote, and you saw a shift in turnout in terms of white turnout surged past Black turnout, It was significantly more. And when you factor in turnout, then you see the results that you saw. So I've said a lot, because I know I don't have a lot of time, but you got any questions for me?
Well, I appreciate your weighing in, Jeff, and I know your attention was elsewhere over the last several weeks during this game. So we're really glad that the listeners are able to hear your voice and your insights on this. I want to get your reaction to this this fact. We will have a white mayor. The voters showed that they like what city council has been doing. They're bringing city council members back. There are a couple of open seats, A and E, but no matter which direction those voters in A and E go, there will be a black city council in New Orleans, but for one member. A black city council. Now, what difference do you think that will make as we look forward to the Helena Moreno administration?
So I think that you have to talk about political alignment, and when you talk about political alignment, we know that JP and Helena are, connected at the hip. They are one and 1A, and so to the extent that JP is going to be able to lead the council as during his 6 months as city council president, that is one of the most powerful positions in city government, city council president, ladies and gentlemen, at large. The at-large positions they get to set the agenda, they get to talk about, they get to frame what the council is going to talk about, they get to put forward initiatives and agendas. And to the extent that Helena and JP will work together, I think that's a given. And you've seen kind of Freddie King align himself with Helena and JP in the past, and so I think that's going to continue. Leslie Harris is certainly a part of that group. So you got a group of city council people who work together and are aligned, and will continue that alignment. And so I see this as being a smoother. Because you no longer are going to have this animosity between the mayor and the council. They're going to work together. They're going to work together hand and foot. Now they may fall out. You never know what happens. Politics makes strange bedfellows, as they say. But I think initially during this honeymoon phase, they are going to be able to push across an agenda that is very concerning to me, Will, because one of the reasons I have been adamantly opposed to Helena Moreno and J.P. Morrell is they want to change the structure of the city government. We have a home rule charter. They want to rip it up, tear it up, and throw it in the garbage and come up with a new form of government. It's what they have been working on for the last 8 years. It concerns me greatly. I think all citizens need to be aware, to the extent that they are able to call the council, to appear before the council, email the city council. I heard Leslie Harris this morning say she reads every email. So email the city council people and let them know what you're thinking, because the home rule charter protects the city of New Orleans. It is what protects us from a state takeover of all of our resources. And we have plenty of resources, the Prince Quarter, Sewage and Water Board, all of those kinds of things that are part of our municipality, although the Sewage and Water Board is a state entity, so I misspoke. But the fact is that the Home Rule Charter is what protects the city of New Orleans from a state takeover. It's what gives us our power. And to the extent that they want to rip it up and tear it up and throw it away concerns me greatly. So I think people need to be, especially in the first 6 months, need to look at what the new legislation that they're going to be pushing across and see how it impacts us going forward. I have grave concerns about that, and I'll be looking.
And I know you do, and I know you've been critical in the past. I expect you to be critical in the future. But the reality is, citywide, J.P. Morrell got more votes than anybody, including Helena Moreno. So of the people who voted, they endorsed him not narrowly, but overwhelmingly as we move into the new administration.
So maybe that's what people want. Maybe not, but listen, politics and campaigns are different from legislation and the reality of what happens day to day. JP also ran a very effective campaign. He spent a ton of money. He talked about, he went back to his old commercial about, New Orleans is a great place to love. It shouldn't be that hard and that kind of stuff. It resonated with voters. And when you look at his coalition, he had a 50% and 50% support from both the white and the black community. And to the extent that people love him, it's clear to me and evident. I don't dislike him personally, but I will say his politics I dislike, and his policies rather I dislike. And to the extent though that the citizens think he's doing a good job, it's obvious that they are. I'm one guy, and I'm going to continue to sound the alarm when I think people need to hear the truth as I see it. But yeah, absolutely. Obviously, everybody in the city doesn't agree with Jeff Thomas, and that's okay. I still think, though, that people need to be aware of what's coming and know that, there are changes afoot.
Yep. Well, I know you got a busy day ahead of you and a lot of business to take care of. We're very appreciative of your making time for us here at the Good Morning Show. We look forward to hearing more from you. And we want to encourage everybody to take a look at Think 504 because it does do what the name implies. It's to make you think.
Oh, yeah.
And, one thing's for sure, if you're not a regular reader, you're going to hear some voices that you don't hear from other places. Certainly you can catch mine at NOLA.com, but I look at Think 504 to get some information and some education. And you'll see viewpoints that are different than Jeff Thomas's.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Listen, thank you for saying that. Well, listen, Kenneth Cooper is one of the greatest young writers in the city of New Orleans. He wrote kind of tongue-in-cheek, all hail the Moreno mandate, but he breaks down that race. And so if people really want to have a perspective that's different from what I said, but to get a viewpoint, go to think504.com, Black Source Media. You will see the all hail the Moreno mandate article up there. We also have an article about Matt Willis landslide win. And, that again is name recognition and money. And also we have a new article about Michelle Woodfork and how she crushed the Orleans Parish Sheriff's race. So people go there, check it out, read us. And, you can't subscribe just because we're overloaded in terms of our capacity. But you can certainly go there. We put out new content every Monday and every Thursday. And it is the number one Black-owned website in the city of New Orleans. We get over 1 million hits a month. We have over 360,000 email subscribers who get an email from us. And so we like to be, a voice that people can get a varied viewpoints. So thanks for the time this morning, guys.
Yeah,
Steve, good talking to
you.
you.
And you all can do what I do. So I'm on the email subscriber list, but I also bookmark it to just make it easy to go to. Look, Jeff, you know something about this business. We got to go to break.
Go to break.
So we're going to have to do that. We thank you for your time this morning. We'll be looking to hear more. Folks, it's 8:51 a.m. You got to be there at 9. I hope it's real close. But please drive safely and watch the babies. You're listening to WBLK 1230 a.m., What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
All day long.
All right.
Bye, guys.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another pleasant day is expected. No rain and low humidity, so comfortable conditions rule. Highs will be slightly above average in the mid-80s. Lows tonight fall back to the 50s on the North Shore and the 60s on the South Shore. We'll see a midweek warm-up starting Tuesday with highs returning to the upper 80s. Rain returns by the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Wake up your taste buds at Inner City Brews and Bistro, home of the one-of-a-kind peach cobbler pancakes. Start your day with our soulful breakfast favorites, then come back for bold cocktails and those oh-so-good Creole flavors that always hit just right. In the heart of Treme, every bite feels like home. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. and find us at 1401 St. Bernard Avenue. Inner City Brews and Bistros, uniquely New Orleans, deliciously unforgettable.
You're invited to step back into New Orleans history for Community Day at the Dewdrop Inn with Tulane University Special Collections, presented by the Primo Memorial Series. Saturday, October 18th from 12 to 2 p.m. Celebrate the Dewdrop Inn legacy with a live musical show. Enjoy a brunch buffet and explore archival materials. Free admission, but space is limited. For more information, visit library.tulane.edu/Dewdrop Community Day.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060. Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryan Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. We are having a great show. We got a few more minutes left. And you're listening to the Good Morning Show. My name is Will Sutton, and I'm here with Chief Eddie Compass. What a good conversation.
Oh, man. It was...
and monologue.
Right.
By and with Think 504's Jeff Thomas. I want to encourage you all to go and check it out. There's some good content there, some good thoughts, make you think. You don't have to agree with everything.
Right.
Just like when I write something, I don't expect people to agree with everything, but I want people to think about what I've written and formulate your own ideas. So my piece is on NOLA.com, and it's on the homepage now, as is a piece by my colleague Stephanie Grace. But, go to Think 504 and look for that commentary as well.
Jeff's an independent thinker, and I mean, he's been ahead of his time with a lot of things that he's written that's come to fruition, so I respect him to the utmost, and he's been somebody that's been in this game a long time. So, like I said, he's very sagacious and perspicacious, and we're very fortunate to have him coming on our show.
Well, we're going to have to make room for the front porch in a bit with Graylin and Kemba, but we got a few more minutes. Let me tell you, we're going to have a special show tomorrow because we're going to have Mr. 411, Jacques Morial, on. And not only are we going to have Jacques Morial on, we're going to have Clancy DuBose on.
Oh, wow.
And not only are we going to have Jacques and Clancy on, they're going to be on at the same time. So y'all definitely want to come back to listen to the Good Morning Show on tomorrow morning right here on WBOK 12:30 a.m. We'll have some more analysis, commentary, and we'll take more of your calls about what happened with the election, whether you are happy and thrilled, you're supportive of everything, or supportive of Helena Moreno, you like certain city council results, sheriff result, or are you surprised by the result in the clerk's office? But before we go, let's hear from Mayor-elect Helena Moreno.
Look, Daryl, I'm really just getting ready to get to work. Like, that's where I'm at right now. I've been so focused in on this campaign, but always having an eye on just what I need to be thinking about and doing for the city. So I'm just excited to now be able to have an additional month to work on transition, to work with this particular city council to start figuring out the budget, and let's get going. Let's get to work. The people in New Orleans can't wait anymore.
Kind of talk about what you're going to be faced with next year. I mean, you talked about earlier about a lot of folks leaving New Orleans and other things like that. You're going to have a city council with folks like George Russo, Leslie Harris still there, but also some newcomers like Matthew Willard. What are you going to do to try to bridge a gap and work together with the council where some folks believe that was kind of lacking in the previous administration?
I'm really excited to work with our new city council and figuring out exactly what are their priorities in their districts, and then finding a way for them to be able to accomplish those things, because ultimately when they're able to accomplish good things in their district, it's good for their districts, it's good for the council member, but it's also good for the city of New Orleans. So that's going to be my plan.
I know it's been a whirlwind for you right now, but have you felt the weight of the fact that you're going to be the next mayor come January? Have you felt that weight at all? If so, tell me what you're feeling right now.
I actually felt the weight of that when I made the final decision to run for mayor. I felt it. But then all the way along the campaign trail, you know what I felt, Daryl? Actually, the people of New Orleans lifting me up. And so that's what I feel. I feel their support. Obviously, you saw what happened tonight, and they're just ready for a new direction. And I'm going to work every single day to chip away at the pervasive problems that we've had here in New Orleans.
And finally, Mayor-elect, you actually talked about your other opponents that you talked to as well. Talk about what's the message you have for people who didn't vote for you in this election, but they have to come together to support you and making the city thrive. What's your message to people who did not vote for you?
Ultimately, I'm mayor for the entire city of New Orleans, including those who did not support me. So I'll work every single day to try to gain their support and earn their trust, and ultimately, of course, deliver good city services for them.
Mayor-elect Helena Moreno, congratulations. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Well, there you have it. Mayor-elect Helena Moreno's hitting the ground running. I saw her out and about Sunday at 2 different churches.
Yeah.
So she was out and about. Of course, she went to the Saints game and hung out with Gail Benson and her guests in Benson Suite. And she's on a roll. So look forward to more news and information about her transition. She'll be putting together a transition team, and she'll be making appointments in her time. According to local reporting, there are a number of people who have expressed interest in working in her administration. So she won't be able to pick all of those people. So she'll have to make some choices and decide who from the current administration she might want to continue. And of course, she'll want to put her own stamp on the cabinet. It's 8:59 a.m. And Chief Eddie, we've had quite a show. We heard from Papa Baptiste, Ms. Matthews, Frank, and others on the talk line, but on Facebook, oh my God, there were Claudia, Andrew, Kerwin, Fern, Sally Ann, Karen, Michelle, Linda, Paul, Alicia is back. Thank you. Cliff, Karen, Peter, Maddie, and Sean, and I'm still missing 2 or 3 people.
Well, Derek Frick and Mike Lavasier, because that's my people. They always check on me.
All right. Okay. So we really appreciate those listening on WBOK 1230 AM, those listening on the internet, and, of course, those who are listening and watching on Facebook Live. This is the Good Morning Show, and I'm Will Sutton. This is Chief Eddie Compass. Lord willing, we'll be back tomorrow morning right here in the same place and at the same time, but a different lineup, including Jock Morial and Clancy DeBose. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.